Tonight, Hunter Biden is the first child of a president to be indicted on federal charges. He's accused of making a false and fictitious statement about his drug use on a federal gun form and to a gun dealer.
And he is also charged with knowingly possessing a firearm while on drugs. So this comes months after a plea deal that would have spared him the gun charges fell apart in a Delaware courtroom.
Yeah, Hunter Biden's lawyers have said they will, in fact, be fighting those charges.
Joining us now for a quick breakdown is Richard Convertino, former Assistant U.S. Attorney. Thanks so much for being here. Can you explain, first and foremost, what is Biden accused of doing here?
He's accused basically of giving false information on federal forms and possessing a gun while and under the influence of narcotics or addicted to narcotics. The federal law is codified in 18 U.S.C. 922G and 924C, and those codification of those laws are also put into a form by the ATF that you're required to fill out prior to purchasing a handgun, or in his case a handgun, or a long weapon, any type of weapon. That form is ATF Form 4733. And what that form does is it codifies the statute that prohibits the use of a gun or the carrying of a gun or possession of a gun while you're under the influence or you're addicted to some form of narcotic or other drug. So the form itself is very explicit. The form is 7 pages long. It's very detailed. In fact, the first line of Form 4733 says, warning, the answers you provide will determine whether or not you're able to possess a federal firearm under federal and state law. It then goes on to list the prohibitions of which you cannot possess a firearm. One of them is whether you are, not were, but whether you are at the time you fill out the form, addicted to narcotics or a controlled substance of any kind, including those listed in the federal statute. At the end of the form, there's a certification process where it says, I hereby certify that the above answers are true, and I also certify that anyone who is prohibited under this form from carrying a firearm or possessing a firearm or purchasing a firearm is precluded from doing so. And the form has to be filled out by hand with ink. It's not a computer form. So what it does is it focuses the applicant on the questions, and they have to handwrite out the answers. And so there's not a lot of wiggle room here for the defendant in this case to assert that he didn't understand the form. It's very explicit, very detailed, and very straightforward.
Okay, so Rick, I guess if he is convicted, do you think he will actually serve any type of jail time?
I don't. And the reason I don't is because the federal guidelines are different from the federal statutes. The federal statutes have a maximum penalty in this case of 25 years and a fine of upwards of $500,000. But the guidelines are different and they apply. And because he became sober soon after by his own admission, and because he didn't possess the firearm during the commission of a crime, I think those are all mitigating factors that will allow him not to be sentenced to a term of imprisonment.
Okay. All right, former Assistant U.S. Attorney Richard Convertino, thank you so much for being here with us this evening.
Appreciate it.